Each time you load the map for your commute, pick a new series on Netflix, load your Instagram feed, or order a new phone case from Amazon, you are interacting with artificial intelligence, or AI.
I believe they think I am some sort of god.
AI's place in the work world is no longer confined to the halls of giant tech companies or futuristic marketing departments. AI is being used and its practice perfected in internal and corporate comms departments around the world. If figuring out how AI can help your organization work smarter keeps getting pushed down the list of objectives, you are not alone. Today on the Internal Comms Procast, we will be chatting with Jason Anthoine, founder of Audacity. Jason will be sharing some ways AI can make your internal communications more strategic and personal, along with some handy tips on how to push initiatives through IT, HR, and C-suite hurdles.
Well, everybody's always resistant to change, even though all of us, do it all day long, every day in various ways. I think, one of the biggest hurdles is, that's the way we've always done it around here, so why would we do it any differently? And, if that's your answer, then we'd all still have fax machines as a way to communicate and send content around.
The Internal Comms Procast is sponsored by Circle. Circle uses automation and artificial intelligence to personalize communications. Circle connects your existing communication channels to provide a seamless, personalized experience for every employee. Greatness awaits. Request a demo at circle.com. That's CERKL.com. Circle. Personalization automated. Welcome to the Internal Comms Procast. I am your host, Barry Williams. If you are new to AI's use in employee engagement, the options, language, and use cases can seem overwhelming. This episode, we turn to one of our favorite internal communications consultants, Jason Anthoine, to get a better understanding of how artificial intelligence can help internal communicators.
My name is Jason Anthoine, and I run a company called Audacity, and we help companies inform, involve, and inspire their employees. I grew up in a very small town in middle Georgia, and my father was a assembly line foreman at a school bus factory, and my mother was a secretary at the bank. And so, most people would describe that kind of as a blue-collar kind of household, and I embrace that. It's absolutely true, and I think it's what sort of got me into this. I majored in public relations at the University of Georgia, and my first job right out of school was doing the employee newsletter for a bank in Atlanta. And just from day one, I was like, yep, this is it. Things I do, I can see the result of those things almost immediately. That's, to me, totally different than maybe other kinds of communications, especially external communications. And so from that very first newsletter I put out, I've been hooked on it ever since, and I've spent pretty much my entire 30-year career doing almost internal comms only exclusively.
Jason is a pro at helping communicators manage change and bust through organizational silos to reach big goals. The entire Internal Comms Pro team enjoys working with Jason, and we are thrilled to have him here today. He spoke at our Chicago Rise and Shine series event, and his insights were so valuable that we decided to invite him to go on the road with us for the rest of the Rise and Shine series. More and more, Jason is seeing communicators looking for help via artificial intelligence. Marketers have long been using artificial intelligence and machine learning to automate tasks and better understand their audiences. Jason says employee audiences expect the same sort of personalization capabilities they enjoy with big online brands like Netflix and Amazon.
So I think as we think about AI and sort of how it applies to internal comms, there's a lot of ways to look at what that means and how that will impact the way we reach people and with the right kinds of information. If you think about how an organization communicates with its customers, they have tons of data and data points and all kinds of stuff stored in databases about what color, how many, what size, where you live, how many kids you have, where you went, all those types of things. And they use that data to really customize and personalize whatever those product offerings are. The reality is that human resources has the same information about all of their employees. They just don't use it. And so an emerging area that I think is going to play greater importance is using that data to personalize the communications that employees are receiving so that, yes, you can create a distribution list so that only a subsegment of the employees, get a certain message as opposed to just blasting out an all employee email. But the difference between that and making it personal is the email says, Dear Jason, instead of Dear Roy, which is my first name, and that's what human resources would have for me. So the email would come and say, Dear Roy. But if you really know me as your employee, you know that should say, Dear Jason. And so that's a level of data and sophistication that is currently available, but just is not pursued for a variety of reasons. But I think that this whole idea around personalization of communications for employees is a critical one because, like I said earlier, we're already doing that with all of our customers in an effort to make them feel more aligned and connected to our company and our brands. We should be doing the exact same thing for our employees. If I'm working there for 10 years, I should never get a letter in the mail about my benefits that says, Dear employee. You know who I am. I've been there for a decade. Make that feel like a relationship and you're not just, some other employee with an employee number that doesn't matter.
Beyond personalizing messages, Jason says artificial intelligence can help with one of the least popular functions on any intranet, the search. Clunky, old, and tough to navigate, most intranets are infamous for their terrible search. When search fails, staff rely on phone calls and email to get the information they need. These processes are a big drain on resources and productivity. Jason sees AI-powered chatbots as a great solution.
I think for chatbots, a fantastic application is for benefits communications and sort of transactional type things that human resources is responsible for. They've got call centers, they've got employees who are set up to take routine questions on a regular basis. That's expensive, and a lot of those answers and that entire process can be automated so that employees can go to an app or a thing on their intranet site and engage with a chatbot to get basically routine and sort of normal kinds of questions answered, always with the option of checking out of that and getting into a real live conversation, with a real live human. But it's a way to sort of automate the routine things and take a lot of the cost out of that and make it much more efficient and, frankly, probably a better experience for employees who, by the way, are all doing that stuff away from the office. And so, they have a high level of expectation that why can't we do this at work? It should be as easy as it is for me if I'm sitting on my sofa.
Jason says, in his experience, staff take to AI-powered comm systems pretty easily. After all, it's what they use at home. Your job is to be upfront about the why behind the change.
On the front end, say, hey, we're using this platform. This is what it does, and this is how it's going to feel, and what your experience is going to be, and just being transparent about that. And people have gotten to the point now where they're used to that, and in most cases welcome that because it tends to be more efficient. But I think it's always appropriate to be upfront and transparent about what you're doing and how you're doing it.
However, the C-suite might be more challenging to convince. The more prepared you are with data and institutional knowledge, the better it will go. Here's what Jason recommends.
I think one of the biggest challenges that internal communicators have when it comes to any technology, artificial intelligence or anything else, is making sure that the C-suite in particular understands what it is that we're trying to do, how that is a strategic choice that the company needs to make about how and when and how often and why to communicate with employees. And so it always seems like a really tough battle for internal comms folks to get the funding, to get the resources, to get the platforms, to get the teams that they need to be able to do, the right level of internal communications for the company. It doesn't seem to be a battle that our friends in marketing have when it comes to communicating with customers or consumers. And so I've always sort of scratched my head about how those decisions get made at the C-suite, because it's essentially the exact same challenge, the exact same problem, the exact same issues. And so if it's a slam dunk when it comes to what you would do and why you would do it and how you would fund it for external communications, and particularly marketing and advertising and all of those things that you use to reach customers, why is it not a slam dunk when it comes to doing the same exact thing for your employees? So that to me is the bigger challenge, not, should we get a chatbot? Should we have an app? Yes, those are great questions. But the bigger challenge is how do you make sure that the C-suite understands the value that this brings to the organization and why you would even want to do those things in the first place? And the easiest way for me, at least, to tie that together for them is to show them the example of, here's all the things we do to communicate with our customers. Our employees are essentially our internal customers. We have to convince them to, quote, buy working at this company and staying here. Why would we not do it the exact same way?
A well-executed AI initiative can help you automate processes, save time, and become a more strategic partner inside your organization. All good stuff. But Jason says there are things that great communicators do that no computer can ever replace.
I think AI is typical of other sort of high-tech things that have come along, and everybody always wants to jump on the next, new shiny object, and that's great. I'm the same way. I like the new shiny stuff too. But in this sort of rush to AI, artificial intelligence, I think it's important for us to remember that actual intelligence, another version of AI, continues to be incredibly important for what we do as internal communicators. Just because you have a new platform or a new technology, that doesn't excuse you from the actual intelligence that it takes to understand who your employees are, what it is that they want and need, how they are connecting or not with the company and its purpose and vision, mission, and values, and how we're delivering for the customer. And that doesn't go away with whatever the next new shiny object is. And so my advice is always, as an internal communicator, your job is to get up out of your desk and to go and be with your employees and understand them. That's the only way you're going to be able to communicate with them well, is to understand them and what they need and how they need it and when they need it. And then you can layer on top of that different ways to reach them, whether it's artificial intelligence, standard old email type things, or face-to-face communications. So, I know artificial intelligence is sexy and exciting and the newest thing, and that's great. It ought to be. We ought to be very excited about advancements like that, but it shouldn't come at the expense of actual intelligence and just really building great relationships with your employees and truly understanding who they are and what they need from you.
We want to thank Jason for joining us this episode. If you want more of Jason's wisdom, visit his website, thinkaudacity.com. You can also enjoy Jason live at our upcoming Rise and Shine series events. Jason will share his most current strategies, best practices, latest trends, and tools that drive performance. See where we are going to be next and join the fun for free at internalcommspro.com/shine. While you are on the site, you should sign up for the Internal Comms Pro newsletter. Each week, we deliver a free personalized email newsletter full of news, events, and best practices from our collective of trusted internal communications thought leaders. Until next time. Internal Comms Procast is produced by Super Awesome Media. Our executive producer is Rachel Foles. Connor Sweeney is our engineer, and Kelsey Rizzuto is our associate producer. Our theme music is Please Listen Carefully by Jazzer via the Free Music Archive. Show notes and more are available at internalcommspro.com. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook at InternalCommPro. Thank you for listening.